What is going on, guys? So, I'm very excited because in today's interview, I am interviewing once again my brother Angelo. He is basically one of the best that I've ever seen in regards to socializing and connecting at a very deep level with people, and in dating as well. I've learned a lot from him in terms of dating, socializing, and really being more in the moment and not having so much thoughts in my head and that sort of thing. So I think you guys are going to learn a lot from this interview. So check it out and let me know what you think.
What is going on, guys? It's Felipe here with Social Buddha, and I am here with my brother Angelo. And I'm excited because today I want to talk about a topic I think that's really important for the Social Buddha community, which is how to be more social and how to be more confident. So, Angelo, thanks for being here with me. What is your take on being more social and how, from your experience, more than anything, I want to get your perspective about you. How did you become more social, and how is it that you're able to basically strike up conversations with anyone, greet everyone? I learned a lot of the things that I do in terms of socially from you. So, what made the biggest difference for you when it came to becoming more social?
Hey guys, first of all, glad to be here. I'm very excited to be here. I think just the fact that it was very important for me to be social, to be able to break through a lot of barriers that I always felt that they were limiting me to in a certain way, whether it was professionally, with women, with friendships, and with different things. So uh, some of the main things that I realized was that the more you actually try to help people in certain way, the more you become so powerful in actually meeting people. So you really have no agenda on what to say. You know, like when you go out with people or you go out to meet new people, we always have an agenda of trying to get something for ourselves. And that makes us nervous, that makes us needy, that makes us looking for approval in a certain way. And for me was the fact that when I created a concept that was called uh, creating your own energy and not depending on energy outside yourself in order to create the fun. It was something that I tested a while back where we went out to different clubs, to different bars, and we didn't depend on anybody to have a good time. We jumped, we danced, we went crazy on our own, and that automatically involved other people that contain other people, or it was contagious to other people, and you spread that kind of energy to other people that it was massively done. I remember a time where I was with a friend of mine and we went to this club and we just started talking to different tables and it was like literally three, four tables and we just had them like jumping and dancing and we were chatting with them and smiling and suddenly we saw that the reaction just continued to all of the club just from those three, four tables that we had just talked to and spoken to. So
Right.
it was just amazing to see that as soon as you switch that chip inside of you, that instead of going after something for yourself or just kind of acquiring something, everything just changes. If you go out there to be in like the energy that you actually are the fun of everything, whether you talk to people or not doesn't matter, but you have the vibe of uh, of uh, of of just being fun, carefree. That automatically brings people sooner or later, no matter what.
So how do you? So I mean, the vibe and everything sounds great, and we've talked a lot about it for a while. How do you actually do it? How do you switch it?
What part of switching is actually starting taking action on simple things sometimes, baby steps sometimes. As soon as you get out of the house, you start saying hi to people, you start waving to people in the most common and humble way that you can. When you go out, just wish people a good day, wish people a good afternoon, and automatically that starts bringing you on a I guess you can call it a kind of a rolling snowball of socializing. So when you start with people that you just meet on the street, it starts just floating. By the time you get to the venue that you're going to, you already spoken to like 20, 30 people along the way. So it just becomes natural to just keep saying the same thing. And then as soon as you start doing that, you just stick with the conversation by simple questions. And people will just get engaged because they're interested in talking about themselves because they are there to be free from their mental prisons of whatever they had during the day, work, whatever it was. And when you don't have an agenda, you're like totally carefree. I mean, obviously, a lot of people go out there and they like target women, they target certain kind of specific things. I don't think it's about that. It's more about just meeting anyone, and eventually you will get to the person that you actually thought you were going to target at the beginning. So it's just that vibe gets created through through just taking action and having no agenda when you go out there to meet people.
Nice. And I know we have a few differences in regards to how we approach all this. And I think one of the biggest things that I really like about what you say is the whole thing about taking action. So why does taking action actually shift your mentality, shift your mindset, and shift your energy? Why
Because
does it work?
it's the experience that you're living, right? I mean, you can always tell yourself, hey, I'm very social. I talk to everybody. And it's one thing to live it in your mind, and the other thing to what's the word I'm looking for? To support it with the physical action in order to live the experience. And living that experience automatically gives that connection to the brain that you're actually doing it. And it's so powerful because now you're in the moment doing it. And what could it be more real than that when you already seen it in your head and you're physically done it and you already experience it? That's really powerful for you to get out there and start meeting people. And I think that's the even if it's like little steps, like baby steps, like I was saying, if you're just waving at people, just saying hi to people, it's those little steps that eventually will lead to the bigger steps.
So I like the idea of, as we've spoken quite a bit before, in terms of switching it to giving and all that kind of stuff. Now, there are times when people will, I've been guilty of that. I know you've been guilty of it. We're not perfect, but when we say we're going to do something for giving, and in order to give, but in the back of our mind, we still have a little bit of an agenda that we are not even aware of. How do you fully get on the mode of giving and not get discouraged by, let's say, you know, one or two bad reactions, or maybe in the beginning you're starting out and it's like, wow, I've never done this before. I've never talked to people. I've never greeted people in the streets. What are they going to say to me? How do you get over any kind of quote unquote rejection or negative reactions?
Well, I think if you're actually feeling any rejection, it's because you're actually trying to obtain something. So when
Right.
you're out there pointing at people, I mean, you don't know how many. And I'll be honest, uh, even when I started, a lot of people never waved back, never said hi, but I was untouched by it because I was actually just wishing them a good day. It was like, oh, have a good day. What's more
Mm.
humble than that? Whether they took it or not, it was their decision. Whether they wanted to say it back or not, it didn't matter to me. So uh, I think it's a reframe as well. When you go out there and you're just doing it, when you start feeling that you're actually being rejected or feel bad about something, it's a for me it's a thing to notice that I'm trying to get something or I'm not comfortable where I'm at. So
What do you
if
mean
I
by not comfortable?
well if you're not comfortable in your reality, I mean if you go out there and you're feeling like people are rejecting you, it's because you're not okay with where you're at. You're trying to get somewhere else. So the first thing to do is to accept where you're at, even though it could be a better place in your mind, it could be anything. First thing is to accept where you're at, and then kind of release that and concentrate on doing things for others. Whether it doesn't have to be the person that you're actually going after. Like if you do it for the person you're going after, it makes it a little bit even worse because you already target that person. Especially if in this case it's women or men, then it automatically targets that person. You're already trying to get something in return. But in reality, if you just switch back and just turn around and the first person gets to your right, you buy them a drink, automatically that thing that you just done changes your whole mentality. One,
Mm,
because it's a random person. You're doing it to buy them a drink, is not to get something, and automatically takes you on a different perspective. So when you feel that you're not okay where we're at, or you feel rejected, or you're trying to get somewhere else, or whatever it is you're feeling bad about the moment, uh, just start by little baby steps of what would giving look like, and not necessarily, like I said, don't target specific people because then you're already trying to get something from that specific person. But rather, if the scenario is a bar, then buying somebody a drink. If it's on the street, wishing them a good day. Random people that you never met, like just the first person that comes in front of you. That's
right, right.
those little steps are the ones that are gonna switch your chip around.
Right, right. So it's. I mean, speaking of that, I mean, we all get caught up in in the chase. We all get caught up in being overwhelmed because we have certain goals and we're trying to get there, or frustration, different things that happen in life. Um, what would you suggest to keep that? I mean, for you, in regards to socializing, it's obviously been something that you've ingrained in yourself as far as giving and all that kind of stuff. How do you tell someone that is just starting out, or that is maybe has been all about what can I get, or goals, or different things, and so for this person being rejected is a big deal, and so on and so on. So how do you practice on a regular basis, and even remind yourself, because it is practice, I mean, in a sense you do have to practice it. It's not something that especially, let's say, in the scenario that it is someone that has not been that social before, and for him or for her, the concept of being social might feel, all the ideas that might come up might be like, oh, they're gonna think I'm weird, or I'm gonna get rejected, and all these different scenarios that would happen that have to do with rejection and getting validation and all these different things. When you take action, how do you train yourself continuously to give?
I think one of the things that I used to do a lot as a technique, if you really want to look into techniques, is that
Sure.
I used to set up an alarm on my phone several
Yeah.
times per day in order to remind myself that I wanted to, or that I at that point I needed to be talking to people. So because
Mm,
we get caught up in the
nice.
day-to-day things, so yes, we have a job, we have things to do, blah blah blah, and sometimes we need like a little trigger to tell us, hey, you're going the wrong path, or check on yourself if you're at the right path. And that's one of the things that helped me a lot in order to come back to being social. And the other thing I think is also the fact that if you're specifically setting time to go out, uh, also have certain kind of I would call it a support system, where you go to the places where you already met the bartender, the the workers there, the waitresses, the waiters, that already bring you back to that state of mind of socializing, because they
Hmm.
already know you, so you can always count on that to back you your social uh, way. I mean, one of the things I always suggested, and obviously the people that I coach and I talk to, was that whenever you go to a bar, some of the main people and the key people that you might want to meet first is the bartender, the people that work there, because they're always are going to be the ones that you fall back on. If you're feeling in any way negative about something, they'll always be there friendly for you if they know you. So that will be another point to go back to and restart and launch forward again to being social. As far as
Nice.
giving goes, obviously they're always also your key to when you're inviting people. Yeah, just have a group of friends that I just met. I'll buy the first round, blah blah blah, or whatever it is. It's meet my friends, meet the bartender. It already gives you some kind of value and giving to people when you introduce them to the actual workers that work in the bar.
What are you giving? I mean, you mentioned in the beginning, you mentioned, I think it was, creating this type of energy around where it just spreads and that kind of stuff. You're giving energy specifically from your point of view. What are you giving?
I think that's a very good question, and I've thought about it for a while because I think it's a little bit different for every person what they are
Yeah.
naturally giving into. And mine, it's actually creating a fun environment. It's creating good times for people. It's It's making people smile and laugh that I actually get joy out of. When I have people laughing, or have people that I have having a stressful day at work, and I show up and I'm able to create a relaxed, not a relaxed, but more of a fun and laughing environment for them. It's just, I don't know, it's very rewarding for me that every time I go back to them, I always go back to the same spot, and they always remember me for that because uh, everyone, even if they're having a bad day or they're just um, having bad clients, when you make them smile, everything switches for them, and they'll remember you for ages. And every time you show up to that place, they will always react with the same smile to receive you. So it's just so amazing to be able to do that for people. And I think that's one of my natural virtues to do, that wherever I go, wherever I am, I always create a good time for people, whether it's joking,
Yeah.
whether it's anything. And that's part of it. And I think it's different for every person. I mean, other people are there to, obviously, it's all about energy, to share their energy, to create certain kind of environment, and other people are there to share the conversation, their knowledge, their different things to give. So whatever it is, each person that can actually uh, get in touch with their natural way of giving, then that's a big thing.
And I think, you know, to go along with what you're saying is it's not just in regards to what do we people want, what can I give. More importantly is, you know, what do you love doing, what do you enjoy, what do you, for example, you know, in your case, humor is big. I mean, you're one of the funniest guys I know, and your banter is just, you know, awesome. And also in regards to your energy, you're very, you know, very high energy and fun and that kind of stuff. So for other people, like you said, it might be conversation or teaching, or it might be listening or something like that. And but I think it's in regards also to what you enjoy within the interaction, or what you would enjoy with interacting with people, if there was no specific end result you had in mind. And so I'm curious. I want to talk about two things. The first one is, how do you start conversations, and then the second one is, how do you make it humorous? Like, how do you create humor around a conversation, and kind of dive, you know, a conversation into a more of a fun, humorous type of thing. So first of all, how do you start conversations?
I think it's a very it's a question that a lot of people think is really hard,
Hmm.
but it's the simplest thing ever. Like you can come up to somebody and say, "Hey, how's it going?" As simple as that. Obviously,
Yeah.
conversation continues, and I know for experience, and you as well, back when we started with being social, that uh, we thought we run out of things to say. But the reality is that the person in front of you is always going to tell you what to ask next. So you can have a question about anything. Where are you from? Oh, I am from blah blah blah. Oh, so what's there to do? Like anything will just come, and you can just find anything within that conversation to keep going and going and going. And the thing about turning it into fun and funny, I think it has to do a lot with actually you being able to also make fun of your own self.
Mm,
If you're okay with taking a joke, then you're okay with giving a joke. So when you're secure about that, you're able to get away with so many different things that people can't really think about sometimes. But
yeah.
it is where you're coming from. It is if you are saying a joke for saying a joke, then it comes out really bad. If you're saying a joke, sorry, uh,
Or you.
or I know, or whatever it is, that joke, that it's
Yeah, yeah.
coming from a place of insecurity, people are gonna feel it.
Hmm.
But when you are just that person that you're able to even throw stupid stuff out there about yourself, then people know that it's funny. People know
Yeah.
that they can't get you back on anything. You're not insecure about talking about that subject. So if it is sexual, which is another subject, but if it's sexual, if it is just venturing or just actually messing with people, which I
Yep.
love messing with people. People get it because you're coming from a place where that you're already expecting them to say something back, and usually they can't say it. But if they say it, you're okay with it too.
Right.
A lot of
Right.
people go out there try to put people down in a certain way through their humor, or they uh, they say something that they think is funny, and when they come back with it, they have nothing to say because they came from an insecure place. They
Hmm.
came from a line that they probably read in a book. Like, oh, here, let me tell you a joke. Oh, I'm gonna tell you that your shoes stink because they're blah blah blah, and then they feel insecure because that's not them. So it is a
Right.
place of where you come from, and you being okay with everything with yourself. You're confident about your own humor. It doesn't matter if they laugh or not. I mean, there's been
That's a big.
situations.
That's a big reason. I mean, many times things are not even funny, but people laugh because you're not seeking approval.
People sometimes laugh because I'm laughing. They're
Yeah.
like, that wasn't funny. I'm like, it was laughing. It was funny for me. If you're not laughing, then you're not having a good time. It's your problem. So it's a matter where you're coming from. If you, like I said, if you're creating your own energy, your own fun, then people will feel that. You don't care about if their people are laughing or not, because you're just creating that vibe. You're just having a good time. That's contagious. And even though it's not funny, people will laugh and they just become part of it.
Mm. So, in regards to connecting with people, I've seen you. I mean, you connect very well with people right from the start. What do you think is the biggest? Maybe you've already mentioned. Maybe it is the giving. Maybe that's part of it. What is the biggest way that you connect with people, and what is the reason why um, people feel such a strong connection so fast to you, and they're like, yeah, you invite them somewhere and they're ready to go, or whatever it is, so that you make such instant, deep connections so fast.
I think it's the fact that we're scared to ask the serious questions in a fun way. People
Mm,
tend that everything needs to be serious, and it's not. It's not. People are actually want to have fun in their problems, but they just don't usually get it. So when you ask serious questions in a fun way, people actually create new experiences about their bad experiences.
what
So
would be an example?
an example probably would be, let me think of one that I had recently. Uh, I don't know, a bad sexual experience. If it's a guy and I don't know, have you ever had an early ejaculation? People usually are not. People usually don't ask those things straight up, and it's funny just to break those barriers because they become completely open. People are not expecting it, but when you
Yeah.
make them comfortable within that, you already got to know them better than their friends because they're able to talk about it in a fun way rather than a problematic way. So it's very
Mm,
interesting to break through all of that sooner than later because the sooner, if you're confident enough to be able to do that, uh, people automatically connect with you because you're making them feel good about something that was better for
so in other words, I mean, this is really powerful because you are using humor to help people let go of their shame
them. Yes, I
and
mean,
to be vulnerable in a way. So in other words, I mean, here's what I've seen, and what I understand now. I think more importantly is that you are letting people be vulnerable, be themselves, and not take themselves so seriously, just through humor and through fun.
correct. What's
Mm,
what's really shameful about different things in life? It's all in your head.
right.
The reality is the reality that whatever it is that happened or that is happening, it is just an act. We have created a powerful story about it. And
Mm,
if it has to do with letting people down or with anything else, it doesn't really matter because how many people have let you down? I had this conversation the other day with a person, and I was comparing what when you're actually going after women, women have let you down so many times, and you don't even see it because you're out after the chase. But when a guy lets a woman down, it's so powerful in them psychologically, in yourself as a man, because we're after the chase again. But when that changes, automatically everything that you kind of was serious and shameful and you can call it, I don't know, bad. It doesn't matter. Everybody in this world has done it. They have their
True.
own things that has happened in their lives, and the only difference is how everybody takes it. And the fact that when you're chasing after a woman or a guy or a job, including, it affects you the most because you're in the chase mode. When you let go of any outcome, then you're able to not care about whatever it is that the act have resulted in. So whatever the result is, it doesn't affect you. It doesn't affect you at all because you could care less. And it's also the fact that we live in scarcity.
Right.
So we just ruin it with this person. Oh my God. So like there's nobody else coming along. Come on.
Yeah, that
And
makes sense.
and I think it's a matter of noticing that life, for me at least, it stopped being so serious a while back when I decided and realized that uh, everything could be fun, even the bad experiences.
How do you switch that up?
Well, it's noticing it, it's not knowing it, and being able to see the fact that nothing means anything, that any act, any situation, anything that happens around you, uh, the pain that we feel and the grief that we give it, and the perspective that we give it, it is up to us of the way that we were brought up, the way we were programmed, the way we see things now, or the way we think we need things now. If we
Mm,
think we need something right now, of course it's going to affect us in a very deep level. And we're just going to do as much as we can uh, to be able to hold on to that moment that we thought we had something.
right, right. I see what you're saying.
So when you realize that any act, any situation, anything that happens in front of you uh, doesn't mean anything, and in reality, the sooner you actually can create a fun experience out of it, the sooner you're gonna feel even better about it. Because in reality, you gotta know that um, we don't need to go through a process all the time. We don't need to to think that oh, we need to feel bad in order to learn our lesson. We need to do this in order to get that. In reality, we already know it. It's a matter of discovering it and just knowing that we know it. It will give us a path to the knowing.
So, in regards to the process, and I'm curious about this because we have some different ideas in regards to healing and everything. So, what's your take on healing in regards to this specific context?
On the specific concept of bad experiences.
The context of not having a process, of not having to go through a process or feeling bad and all that kind of stuff. What's your take on healing, emotional healing?
Well, I think every person is different. Obviously, I know that I do go through processes, but doesn't mean you need a process. The sooner that you actually are able to see what you are, what you're supposed to get out of that experience, and know that a process, uh, it could be tricky. It could trap you and take you on a journey where you really go deep, or it could be as simple as just waking up. It could be as simple as, okay, it's hard to emotionally detach from a situation because, especially depending on how much effort you committed to a situation, or how invested you're in it. But the reality is that uh, it doesn't. It's not needed for your survival. It's not needed for you to exist. And the sooner you know that you're complete in every way, the sooner that the process doesn't need to take place.
So, okay, that makes sense.
So we have a mentality that we have a we have to suffer, we have to go through the process, we have to go do this because that's the way we work. But in reality, the sooner you realize that you're just complete and that you already know what you're supposed to get from that experience,
Right.
the sooner that knowing will appear.
So what you're saying is, yeah, there is a process. The issue is when you make a process an excuse to keep suffering.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, anything else that you would give as far as tips to really, really switch from wanting and getting to giving and being more social, and how to get started for someone that's never been social before? Anything else that you can think of that would help someone, to start being more social, and maybe a reason why they would benefit from it in regards to their overall quality of life, their happiness, and so on.
I think an overall concept that I could actually suggest is find a bigger purpose than you. Find a bigger purpose of why you're trying to be social than you. When you find a bigger purpose, the motivation will be greater and the easier will become.
Mm,
And
like that.
as soon as you find a bigger purpose that is bigger than you, then everything that you're trying to get from people will disappear.
Right. Nice. Awesome. Well, that's everything for today. Thanks, Angelo, for being on the call. If people wanted to get in touch with you for coaching, what email or how can they contact you?
Well, they can email me at the same email, info at social/buddha.com.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's everything for today. We'll see you guys later, and we'll see you on the next interview. Thanks so much.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Angelo.
Bye.